right, we are here with another episode of Fit for Life Radio, but we are without our main standbys, Ben and Will. They are, who knows? Ben's probably taking a nap, and Will's probably eating some chicken thighs. So, luckily for you guys, we have a guest here today in Santa Monica. He is a trainer at the gym Iron that I work out at. His name is James. James, you want to say what's up?
How's it going, guys? This is my name is again James Balazs. I'm a strength coach at Iron. I work at the same facility as Gary here. I'm a strength coach, and I also do M.A.T, muscle activation techniques. So I have a neuromuscular therapy license as well.
Now, James, your last name is very intimidating. And then when I
easily butchered.
When it's just Balazs.
There we go.
Let's pull this up and see what everyone would have thought. So, how do you spell your last name?
Balazz.
It's that Z. The Z. Any Z will throw anyone off. So I feel a little better about that. But yeah. So I know, how long have you been training for, or a strength coach and working in the industry for?
So in LA, 12 years, but my history with training goes back to probably when I was about 19.
Cool.
20 years old.
Yeah, so similar to me, I've been going about 13 years strong. So now I'm sure then this is where we'll be on the same page is, a lot of people when they start to work with a trainer, it's almost like they're expecting maybe that's almost like the pill in itself. Like you take the pill, you get the result, but really the trainer's almost more than half the job is managing expectations and the ups and downs that come along with being successful with your goals. What's your experience with that?
Totally. You have to understand what kind of mindset each individual person is coming to the gym with. And if they're coming in and they were just at the grocery store and they see the cover of a magazine and all of a sudden they're like, oh, I want to look like that. I mean, that's very impulsive. Got to know what their like you said, what kind of expectations they have with the gym, because mostly what I offer is a complete shift in a thought paradigm, a deconstruction of a thought process and a reconstruction of a new one. It's understanding what each person has to work with, what they're coming, like you said, what their expectations are, and managing those things. When they come to me, it's like, hey, I've been in pain, or I want to change the way my body is, and you have to understand those things. And did they have them that morning, or have they been in a contemplative state for a long time?
Yep, right. So let's kind of dig in with that, and that let's use yourself as an example, right? Yeah. So I think a lot of people will relate. You being a strength coach trainer for 13 years, people think everything's automatic and easy, right? But it's not. So the other week, I know we were talking about nutrition and diet. Yeah. You were talking about how you wanted to lean out a little, get a little leaner.
Yeah.
So maybe talk about that somehow. Even when you know everything to do, like this, there's always a struggle with it, and staying on and off and ups and downs and peaks and valleys. And then, maybe mention kind of, you were talking about the mindset, and was this an instant pain? Was this something that you've been needing to do or put off? Kind of use that as an example.
Yeah, so, having this M.A.T background, you start to kind of, I don't know if you're drawing in the right, but when you start talking to people, you start to find out most people are dealing with some kind of discomfort or some kind of pain. And, in order for people to really achieve their goals, dealing with nutrition is something that I've done in the past, but it's hard to wear every hat in the fitness industry. So one of the things, going back to what we were saying earlier, is just, okay, are you dealing with pain? And then teaching people that moving the body is an art form. It's an art form. And teaching them and showing them that movements need to be biomechanically efficient. You need to teach people how to move first. They need to it's like, I kind of use this phrase with my clients, like move pretty, build pretty, and the nutrition aspect to me is something that when I first started doing this, it was like, all right, everybody thinks like me.
Mm-hmm.
If I want to change my body, then you're going to show me you're going to give me a nutrition game plan. You're going to give me a training game plan. I'm going to attack it, and I'm going to achieve my goals. Not everybody's set up really to do that. And if you're going to start implementing, if you're going to start teaching people this whole new way to move their body, and then have them do a complete 180 with their diet, can be overwhelming. And I've seen often people just, like I said, being overwhelmed and kind of throwing in the towel. So what I like to start with is understanding what the person's coming to me with, and then teaching them how to move. Because like I said, moving the body is an art form. And I think you can say the same thing. We don't really see a whole lot of masterpieces being
Yeah.
being created in the gym.
And what happens, especially at public gyms, people decide they want to work out and they get in, but their experience and exposure is like Reebok commercials and stuff. They see the competitions and they're going hard, so that's what they try to emulate, in the gym. Whereas I know, a lot of trainers too, like operate off of that because they want to give people what the person wants, So, you go in and you have a brand new person who can't even, just do like a body weight squat, and they're doing like crazy TRX with their feet hooked up and all this and that. Whereas you'll be working with the client and have them doing split squats and balance stuff and taking those steps, and it's hard to do that, because everyone as a trainer knows that's the correct way to put people through progressions, but it's scary. Like, you don't want to bore clients and stuff. But I think if you tell people ahead of time and like you let them know the expectations, then they trust in that process. So what would you say then kind of is the importance of, managing that intimidation people have of the gym in the beginning, and then the importance of learning to do it right, setting that foundation?
Yeah. So when I'll talk, if people come up to me at the gym and be like, "Hey, will you look at this? Will you look at that?" And I'll kind of look at them, and they'll assume what they're doing is wrong, right? Because oftentimes they're looking at somebody else squatting and go, "I need to look like that," or they're coming in and they're assessing other people and going, "Ooh, that person's dropping down, their ass is hitting the floor on their squat. I need to get that." But they don't have the skills or the abilities to really understand mechanically that's not for everybody. When you're looking at femur length to torso, these ratios, some people are going to be able to drop down right away. Other people are not, and it's not right or wrong. It's what you have to work with, and that's the coolest part about my job to me, is that people can talk about tailoring things specifically to the individual all they want, but when you have an understanding of biomechanics and when you teach contraction of tissue, as opposed to, because you can ask people questions like, what moves that weight right there? Force. What generates the force? It's contraction of tissue. And when you can teach people how to contract tissue to move weight, then they show you exactly what they have to work with, and then you work within those parameters. And what the coolest thing is, it's such a change and transformation in people's lives when they can go, "Oh my God, I can move that, and I'm not hurting." And before, they were trying to move in a way that was based on how other people were moving, and it was causing them discomfort because they were imposing a movement on themselves that they weren't really equipped to handle. So when you can teach them, "Hey, this is what you have to work with, and this is how we can contract in this movement," then it changes the game.
Yeah.
It's a complete game changer for people. It feels different. The weights become irrelevant, and now they're not going, "I got to lift 225 pounds to build my pecs," or "I got to squat 400 pounds to build my quads." No. You need to have an intention. What are we trying to accomplish here? And if a pro basketball player came up to me and was like, "I want to start training with you, I hear what you do," and stuff like that, I'd start him with the anatomical adaptation phase, just like I start with everybody else.
Yep.
Because and the thing is, I have nothing against moving powerfully or moving with, building strength. I love that stuff. I love explosive movements. But do you have control?
Yeah.
And I see too many people in pain. You know,
Yep.
when they train.
And I think, and then when you take like the, person just looking to lose weight and get fit in the gym, what happens is they think that's the only way, like progressive overload, with weight, right? But when then you let them know, like there's different ways, like can you control the eccentric, longer? Can you pause in certain points of the exercise and show control? Like those are forms of progression, And then when all of a sudden someone realizes, hey, like you don't have to add 5 pounds every week. Can you go slower with the rep? Can you, the isometrics and all that? So then that's just more tools and more confidence and helps avoid injury, right?
Yeah.
Because then you're not because eventually, a lot of times if you're just always trying to add weight, but then your form changes, so you're basically like technical failure, but you're still moving the weight. Like you have to get that out of people's minds, just because you moved the weight, but maybe if you had to, do something funky to do it, if you were, congrats, like you moved more weight, but ultimately, like you're not really making progress, as you think you are, and then it normally leads to injuries, and then there's setbacks, and then there's that whole cycle of then people start to almost wear that like a badge of honor, That's my thing. I'm always like, I just want to feel great. Like I don't compete in powerlifting or strength, which all that stuff is cool, but if you don't compete in it, there's no, like, what's the point of being hurt and banged up all the time, So.
Yeah, there's an autopilot component to coming into the gym. There's an autopilot component to life.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, most of our life is subconsciously driven, right? So, and that's okay because we need that for our heartbeat, breathing, digestive function. We need all that stuff. But when you're coming into a gym and you don't know what to do and you're bringing that subconscious autopilot mindset into the gym, it's dangerous.
Yeah.
It's really dangerous. I can tell you from my own experience that I did that to myself in my 20s.
Yeah. I did too.
As you get older, hopefully you understand that the ego's driving a lot of your training.
Yeah. And you see, like you'll talk to like the guys in their 40s and 50s, and you realize they can't raise their arms over their head. Totally. They hurt all the time.
And they're saying, well, and then they're going, this is how it's supposed to be. I'm supposed to be breaking down. So with that belief system, belief creates biology. So if you're believing these things about yourself, then you're ultimately that's what you're gonna have. That's what you're gonna produce, and that's gonna be your life. And I'm here to say, like that, I just throw holes in that completely. My 20s were spent suffering. Yep.
And then when you realize like you don't have to suffer like that, and ultimately if your goal is just to look better, feel better. I know for me, like I would. I'm in general like a smaller guy, like 5'9", 160, and in my 20s, you want to deadlift as much as possible, right? And I'd gotten my deadlift up to say 460, and it's like, oh, I want to get to 500. But then you realize all the extra work to get my deadlift up 40 pounds, and I was always in pain, like lower back always hurt, just the whole nine. And then eventually when you kind of like check your ego, move out of that mindset, and I don't do that anymore, but I like nothing changes my physique, like you just, so that doesn't matter. And then ultimately, like, all of a sudden if I can look the same and perform the same from an athletic standpoint, well, what's the point, for me and my goals? And it's like it's just like figuring that out. So really when you're meeting with your clients, it's like making people clear on their goals, and letting them know like, hey, like if you don't really have the goal of competing in a sport that requires this specific lift, you don't have to do it.
Yeah.
So, and finding those variations.
Yeah, and these things I teach are principles and concepts I've been developing for a long time on myself and with my clients, and I hammer them home constantly.
Yeah.
It's not people want to attach this what it means to train. How I need to feel when I train. Well, I can get you on the sled for an hour and just blast you, but that's not training.
Yep.
It
was like the whole like here, do 100 burpees. Like you're gonna be tired.
Yeah.
You can push the sled for an hour and you're gonna be tired, but there's a fine line. But are you like using all your movement patterns and learning to contract your muscles and all that?
And it's I can tailor things specifically rep by rep to each individual person. It's special. It's just you show me what you have based on contraction. Oh, your contraction is here. And you don't think that's good. But based on what? based on this guy doing that. Well, let's progress here. This is what you have to work with right now.
Yeah.
And if I need to use M.A.T, I will. But I take the principles of M.A.T and apply them every day to my clients, and I can get the same results. It's just, it's really cool to see people go, I can't squat without pain. I can't shoulder press without pain. And they go, oh, we'll try it like this. And by the way, drop all that weight off the bar, and then just move like this and progress. And when you force people to create a contraction, you also force intention, and you also force mindfulness. And the person is, you can't be at the nail salon. You can't be at the wherever. You're here. You're focused, and you're I'm going to draw that out of you and make sure that you have this kind of check-in, check-out mindset.
Yeah.
Where you're checked in here and you're checked out of wherever else you were.
Yep.
Because the stakes are high when you start placing load on your body.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, it's your body. It's like it's the only one you have. So I know, like, one thing we try to do at our gym, which is more group style, is have tons of progressions and different options. So, and what you'll find is, people are different. Like, some people we'll just use the deadlifts through. You can use a trap bar, and then all of a sudden, kind of frees you up, and you can contract better at the top of the lift. People can squeeze their glutes, or they're able to get into a better hinge because they don't have to reach as low to pick up the bar.
Yes.
But then some people, then it's their ego, right? But they still always want to load it up every workout. Yeah. So then you can move that person to a kettlebell deadlift or a one leg deadlift, where you're really just working the hinge. You're never going to be able to load it a ton. And just people understanding they have those options,
Totally.
And like you said, people's different body mechanics, based off of like their limb length and stuff, is going to lend some people to being better at certain exercises and not. So a lot of it's just finding like what feels good for the individual.
Yeah, and you've got to really abandon that mindset of, this person can do it. Well, this person should be able to do it as well. It just doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
And you got to have the tools to be able to kind of like, not necessarily diagnose, but be able to see that this person is not equipped to deadlift like this other person, and modify it, and then work within those, like I said, work within those parameters so that they can train effectively for their structure.
Yeah.
And then you can progress from there. And hammering, like I said, hammering home these concepts and principles will translate into people kind of buying in longer term.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to work with somebody who's coming in and wants to smash for 8 or 12 weeks. I want to teach, man.
Yeah.
I want to teach people how to move the right way. I want to set them up long term. So if someone came to me and was like, I want to work 12 weeks because these are things that I want, I do that. I'll do that.
The cool thing is I think the pendulum's swinging, right? Because for so long everything was like real hardcore boot camp style, and so many people are getting injured and hurt, and realizing something's not right, that people are wanting to learn more and understand, like, movement and doing things correct, so I think that's exciting too.
And the feeling's different.
Yeah.
People are like, dude, I've never felt my pecs like that. I've never felt my lats like that. I've never felt my quads, and you're not using any weight.
Yeah.
You're just getting them dialed in and focused, and it goes even deeper than that too, because if you've been in pain, I mean, I have. I mean, what are you inspiring? What are you creating when you're in pain?
Yeah, just
existing.
That tough guy mindset, like, I can exist with pain.
Yeah.
But ultimately, like,
if you know me, you know I'm always on the run, up early and home late. So having a 3-hour morning routine isn't really in the cards for me. What is in the cards is AG1. It's a fast way to get vitamins and minerals I need to perform. I first gave AG1 a try because I wanted a single solution that helps support my entire body by filling in nutrient gaps and simplifying my morning routine. Since drinking AG1 daily, I've always felt strong and energized and ready to attack the day. Not only does AG1 deliver my daily dose of vitamins, minerals, pre- and probiotics, and more, it's a powerful, healthy habit that's also powerfully simple. It's one scoop mixed in water once a day and every day. I know that AG1 is giving my body high-quality nutrition. Every batch of AG1 goes through a rigorous testing process, so you know that it's safe. And AG1 ingredients are sourced for absorption, potency, and nutrition density. AG1 is a supplement that I trust to provide the support my body needs daily, and that's why I'm excited to welcome them as a new partner. Here is your chance to start every day this season with a gift to yourself. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase exclusively at drinkag1.com/provengrit. That's drinkag1.com/provengrit. Check it out.
It's not really what you want, you know?
No.
So
If you can take somebody out of pain and you can, to me, because of my experience, and you go, oh my God, I don't have to deal with this back or this neck pain, you go, damn, I was probably operating at 50% of my potential.
Yep.
Because I'm managing this discomfort, I'm aggravated, I'm frustrated, angry, whatever.
Yeah.
How's that affecting my relationship? How's that affecting my business? So it's a profound impact when you can kind of get people to a place of like, oh my God, I don't have to deal with this anymore.
Yeah. Yep. And perfect example is everyone probably hears our co-host Arnie here. Like, we all know people are different shapes and sizes, right? Kind of like dogs, right?
Yeah.
Like, you want to take a little wiener dog with short little legs and ask them to, jump over fences and stuff, but they're good for like digging holes. So in the same way, it's just people understanding that it's okay if you have to do a different exercise because of your body type or shape, and then that gives that person confidence,
Totally, because if they don't want to feel like you're, oh, we can't do that.
Yeah, and then they're a failure, right?
And then they're a failure. You're trying to get them out of that mindset. You're like, okay, how? And it's okay if you do an exercise and say, hey, we'll come back to that later, but I got something else we're gonna do, and it'll kind of achieve a similar effect.
Yeah. So what would you? So say you're meeting with a client for the first time, just like regular person who's wants to look better, feel better, but they've had a bad experience. They stop and start a bunch, and they feel like that this gym thing's just not for them.
Yeah.
How would you approach that, and what would like your first how would you talk to them, and maybe what would your first kind of session look like with them?
So like I said, with M.A.T, so people will approach me for either or. So for a training client, somebody comes to me and goes, I see the way you work, or I'm interested in this, and basically I need to expose them to it. I can't really, I can have a conversation with them and say, this is what I offer. What you're doing it doesn't seem to be serving you very well. You've had a bad experience. And I'll kind of have them just talk to me about what their experience was like, and just get them to be in a place where they can be comfortable enough to share that information with me, and then I'll just kind of say, well, this is what I do, and this is my thought process, and things are based on contraction. You'll show me what you have to work with. I'll work within those parameters. We'll never move into pain. All these different things, and then hopefully if they're interested, then we kind of move forward, and then I program their training based on anatomical adaptation. So I'll take very basic lifts and see how they perform them. I need to see what they're doing and how they're moving, and more importantly, I need to hammer home these concepts and principles so that we're on the same page, so that they come to the gym and that we're working together, that they're not in that old kind of paradigm where they're like, well, this is what I want, and this is what I should be getting. No, it's not. I'm here to tell you what you're supposed to do.
And that's super important, right? Like when I used to be a trainer at like a Gold's Gym, and that's the challenge, right? Compared to then when you have your own place and you get to really push forward what everyone's doing, everyone's on the same page. Mm-hmm. Whereas when you're training at like a public gym like that, and they see everything else going on, then the doubt creeps in, and I need to try everything mindset. So I think that's super important, like for you to be able to get on the same page up front, so that then they're not like they're focused on and committed, to what you have them doing.
I'm not trying to save everybody or work with everybody. I want people that are going to be on my team and kind of get down with what I'm saying, and I'm going to support you and teach you and coach you the right way. It's just a fact. That's how it's going to go. It may not go exactly how you want, but 9 times out of 10, it becomes a faster, accelerated, abbreviated process for them. They're like, oh my God, I'm lifting the bar on the bench press. Oh, I'm so, and it's like, dude, I need to teach you these things, and you need to stop thinking that the weights are super important to your progress. Yeah. They haven't been serving you, and this is a teaching phase, and it could take 4 weeks, it could take 12 weeks. Some people, I'm still teaching years.
Yeah.
Of these concepts.
Shoot, I'm still learning. Every day it's like it's just like you're kind of always feeling it differently and getting like making progress.
Yeah. So. And I have some clients who haven't moved for decades, and are still kind of coming into the gym and working on coming in a confident state. Yeah. And the more you do this job, the more you realize that mindset is everything, man. Yeah. It is everything.
And I think circling back to, the importance of, picking a coach or system or whatever, and then just trusting that is so key. People, the gym hopping and going around, like, different things do work, right? But you have to commit to something. And now in today's like information age, there's so much information that it's like a squirrel, gathering his acorns, and then he forgets where he puts 80% of them, So that's what happens with people in the gym. Like they never stick to anything, but they try everything, and then there's not enough personal accountability, right? Like you could have someone go do, Orange Theory, and then they go do P90X, and then they go do, whatever, like bar, and then they're like, oh, none of them worked for me, like thinking that there's going to be a magic one that quote unquote works for you, but really it's like that person's not working it, right? So it's so important to to pick something and then really truly commit to it, and you have to like put your blinders on,
And what is commitment? Commitment is staying true to something long after the mood you set it in is gone. Yep. A lot of people will commit to something, have a mood about themselves. This was like they're in the grocery store and they're going, oh look, I want to look like that, But is that a commitment or is that an impulse? Yeah. So I want people, and and for me, I am kind of impose that kind of commitment. It's like if you're gonna be with me, this is how it's gonna be.
And it's funny, I don't think people understand, like, for example, at my gym, like, we do, like, a trial, and then we do, like, it's a year commitment, right? Yeah. And that's for the individual, right? Like, because you having to make a commitment empowers yourself. Yes. It's part of the process of being successful with the goals you want. Yes. It's not that the gym wants to lock you in or anything like that. No. It's literally part of the process that gives you a better chance of being successful, And if I just wish people would really understand that, like, it takes commitment, it takes investing in yourself. Yeah. Like, those things that you're scared to do are part of what makes it work, So let's go back. We have not talked about this before, but I think we're on the same page, especially mentioning the auto-regulation. So we had a episode on supplements and kind of went in on the pre-workout supplements, and people get really like addicted to them or whatever you want to say. And my biggest gripe with them is that they mess up that ability to auto-regulate, right? Mm-hmm. Like if you're always hyped up on one of those super they got all the tons of caffeine and stimulants and all that, you won't notice. Well, what if you have a couple of days where you're natural, your body's trying to tell you, hey, this is a day where you need to scale back. You're not going to maybe be able to know that. And then next thing you know, you're redlining too many workouts in a row, and then you get injured, So, yes. and they just almost hijack your central nervous system, yes. Right? And ultimately, so again, if you used them like twice a month is what we talked about, like it's probably fine. Like, hey, you're going to have a certain workout or just event, you'll get a little effect, but ultimately you're just doing yourself a disservice. It's a short-term thing, right? Like, oh, I get this super hype feeling, but you're gonna just get more and more out of tune with being able to auto-regulate.
Well, dude, you're talking about attaching an expectation to your training session, and maybe that day you're not listening to your body. You're not listening. There's no harmony about you walking in. You're walking into the gym, and you're going, and dude, I know because I used to do this. It's like you walk into the gym, and you're just like, man, long day, whatever, had a stressful interaction with so and so or whatever, and you come in and you just start downing these pre-workouts, and then you impose this kind of and you're just now, like you said, it's a complete hijacking of your central nervous system. Now you've mobilized so much energy towards training that you're leaving very little energy for other functions of the body. And when you're doing that, you're creating, to me, a disharmonious situation with your system, not setting yourself up for success in the gym at all.
Yeah.
Too much stress. I mean, you're stressing your system with the pre-workout, and then going in and going, okay, I'm gonna train like a maniac.
Yep. And then the theme of our show, Fit for Life, like that's what people have to understand. Like, to do this long-term Fit for Life, you can't depend on those short-term crutches, and ultimately, like, it's super important to be able to auto-regulate and not, like you said, kind of force those expectations on every workout, because it's just not sustainable.
Yeah. And the thing is you're like, okay, I'll focus on contraction today. I mean, you need to have these options. Yeah. I can still bench press, but I'm not going to bench press like a crazy bird. I can still train with 30-40% of the load and get an amazing workout in, and that kind of works with my current state of being. So there's going to be days where I'm like, I want to lift heavy today, and there's going to be days where you need to take that inventory though.
Yeah. You
need to be able to go and not relying upon something to boost, because you're saying I need to train really, really hard. So I'm going to pound this pre-workout shake so I make sure that happens, instead of paying attention and going, wait, what's actually happening here? Is my system barking at me? Is telling me, hey dude, we gotta slow down here. And then you have the tools and the options to go ahead and kind of work with that instead of working against it.
Yeah. So when it comes to it's hard because a lot of these concepts and stuff are like the opposite of what's intuitive to people. Like they feel like, oh, if I train harder, I get more out of it.
Totally.
How do you handle then when people are like, oh well, maybe like they're pushing back a little bit, like do you stay patient with them? Do you try to explain it more, the science of it, or you just kind of have them trust the process? Like how have you learned over the years to kind of handle that?
That's a good question. So everybody is different. There are some cases where you have to reinforce the position. It's because I live the position. They really don't. They're coming to me to kind of like. You have to understand that dynamic.
And that's tough, right? Don't you think sometimes that's hard when you get so used to like how you live in this second nature, which is the point you want everyone to get to, but then sometimes you forget what it's like to be a beginner,
You have to humble yourself, and realize how long it took you. These concepts and principles, like I said, have been developed for a long time. So the more I can put myself in a state of, like remember what I said, earlier, I was like, I thought everybody thought like me. Well, that's just not the case, So first of all, understand that everybody doesn't think like you. And that's why the beginning is so important. It's like, where are your thoughts? What are you thinking? So you can kind of navigate that with the person and create kind of, a relationship that's, on the same page. So when you have these conversations, you're just kind of like getting them back on track, instead of being frustrated that they're not kind of where you want them to be.
Yeah.
You're just, like I said, I live this, so it's easy for me to kind of adopt this mindset. But with somebody else, especially like younger people, you have to spend time reinforcing it, that it is a process. That what are our goals? What is your experience? Is your experience pain?
Yeah.
I can just remind them, hey, did you like that pain?
And I think one good thing that we haven't touched on, but I know we've talked about before, is establishing in the beginning like why they even want to do this, the real reason, right? Like, because everyone can be like, oh, I want to lose 10 pounds so I feel sexier at the beach or whatever, but that's not the real reason. Like the real, and especially when you get into the diet side of stuff, is it's always just something way deeper, right? And if you can bring that out in the person, like, hey, it could be, maybe they had something devastating happen in their family and they've been trying to recover from that, or like their relationship is in a bad place or something happened. When you get to those reasons, like that's the true turning point.
And if you've ever been in relationships or whatever, it's never about the dishes, right? It's never
exactly
about,
right. Yeah,
it's like it's never about the bed not being made. So you have to have the skills to kind of understand like what is going on, and that starts in the beginning. So but then you can kind of I'll give you an example, right? I had a client, right? Or I have a client, and he would come to the gym, and we would train, and he'd have like pain, right? Mm-hmm. And one day I was just like, dude, what kind of mindset are you in before you come to the gym? Are you putting so much pressure on yourself? Are you feeling like you're going to disappoint me? Are you going to disappoint yourself? And because these little pain things, they don't seem that, like, it's almost like you're setting yourself, it's like you have a built-in excuse as to why you're not performing the exercise right. And he goes, yes, you're right. If I have pain, then I have a reason why I didn't do the exercise right. And that's just a little bit of insight into like, if you didn't ask those relevant questions, then you would just be like, hey, what the hell is what I'm saying? Like, come on.
Yeah.
And getting to these deeper levels of why people are doing these things. Like I said, it's never about the dishes.
Yeah.
There's always a reason why people are doing stuff, and if you can tap into that, if you can, like I said, tap into it, it's a powerful thing.
Yeah. It's funny because it's like the complete opposite of like that hardcore drill sergeant approach, like you said, like, someone's not doing their exercise or their head's elsewhere, and a lot of the old school thing is, take that, we'll yell at them and push them, but ultimately, like, dude, that's just masking everything. Yeah. Like, when really, it's okay to dig. Like, for me, like, as a coach and a trainer, I mean, that's part of the job, is to, because no one else is going to do it for that person, so, and obviously there's eventually certain levels where, like, someone might need a therapist, or, it's out of our scope.
Yeah. But I have no problem. I have no problem addressing those things because I honestly care about people. So it's like I'm a results-based dude, man. Like, I want results. If something is inhibiting our progress, and it's as simple as, hey, man, you're not gonna disappoint me. Try not to put so much pressure. You know what I'm saying? So we can have more fun. Yeah. Because training like this is fun. I get fired up to see people progressing and moving the right way, and the looks on their faces when they go, I've never felt something like that before, is awesome. And if it takes me being a psychologist / whatever, I'll do it. They're just gonna have to pay me more money.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, we had a client who posted the other day how he was amped because he could pop his pecs now,
Yeah.
And it's cool. Like, that's a fun thing, right? Like, everyone, you see Terry Crews do it, and but it's cool too on another level because because as a coach, that person's like connecting, like, the mind muscle connection, and they're able to, like, there's a lot there that, like, progression wise from something like that. And like you said, and ultimately, this training thing is supposed to be fun. Like, that's the only way people are going to keep with it. Like, if you're an Olympic athlete and you have something to train for, and it's like your livelihood, and like, it should be super serious. So I think, like, the average person, and when I say average person, like, I consider myself the average person who's just doing this because I know I'm going to do it forever, and it's like part of my life. Like, that, it's important to find that place, like that pocket where it is fun, and you take it serious in that you want to do it right, and you don't want to hurt yourself because it's your body, but ultimately you're not like it's not stressing you out.
Yeah, and my job as a coach is not to be stressed out. So anything I can do to get to a better, to connect with my clients on a deeper level, so I can yield the best results for them, I'm gonna do. You know, I want that for people. We're all trying to perform better.
Yep.
Honestly, I mean, some people are like, I can now walk faster, or I can squat better. It doesn't have to be. I love working with athletes because what I do with them it gets to translate on the field and you get to see it. But general population, you still see it translating.
Yeah.
Just as much. It matters to them just as much as if somebody were to, be available to, score a touchdown or catch a pass or hit a jump shot.
Yeah.
So it matters to these people, and that matters to me.
Nice.
So.
And I think ultimately, like you said, you've been doing this 12 plus years. Everyone I've met that's actually been doing it that long, like that's the number one thing, which you just said, is like you care about your clients.
Yeah.
Like so many people get into it who they love working out and think it would be cool to be at a gym all day.
Yeah.
And that's, and then the actual working with clients thing, it's just kind of like, yeah, it's the job,
Yeah.
Whereas but that has to be flipped around. Like you eventually have to care about your clients more than your own stuff.
Yeah. What's funny, when you grow into your reason for being here, like your purpose, when you understand, I'm supposed to be a teacher, I'm supposed to be a leader, I've committed myself to a life of wellness, health, vitality, performance, all that stuff. When you start to realize that you're in that position, you're almost obligated and freed up to be a facilitator for other people to find their greatness as well. And we kind of are able to use the vehicle of fitness to kind of do that. I think is really, really cool. So yeah, caring about my clients, it comes from a place of being like, you know what, I know what I'm supposed to, I know why I'm here. I'm using fitness as a way to reach people, and now it's about other people. And that's when you wake up and you're just like, I'm fired to do this. And if you've got the skill set to get the results that we can get, I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome. You're changing lives. You're transforming people's lives through fitness. I'm a big believer. I mean, you probably do the same thing. I wake up with joy. I'm just ready for my day. And if you sit and think about why that is, it's because we step into our dream every day. Like, we don't have to be like, oh, I want to, okay, and we step into it. And then by doing that, and then you have access to people.
Yep.
And you're supposed to give people the best version of you. And then if you can give them a great workout and then, progress from there, it really does. It changes and transforms lives. And that belief is something I kind of carry with me. And that ultimately helps me work with my clients, is that belief.
Yeah.
That you're really doing something for people, that it's not just they're paying me.
Yep.
I'm not motivated by that.
Yeah, that doesn't last,
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. And we're all just sharing money,
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. I think that's like a great note too to kind of wrap it up, to end it on, because people, it like, just knowing that, it like motivates people to want to change, like when they truly understand, like, a coach has that interest, like that is their interest in them. Like, to me, like that's real motivation. Like, most people won't change for themselves. Yeah. It's almost like they have to, need another reason, and that's part of the reason why a good coach works, because you end up, like, you put so much into it that your clients almost want to change for you, not to let you down.
I'll piggyback on that. It's, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So you better have a reason for what you're doing. And I think I could have just summed it up with that when it comes to, like, getting people on the same page. I think people sense that why I'm doing this. And I think that's what happens is I'll talk to them and I've heard this several times, like, man, you really love this, huh? And I was like, yeah, I really do. And people, when you can tap into that very primal part of a person's psyche, where somebody is kind of maybe craving that level of passion in their own lives, and they can kind of get that from their experience or their time with you, then it changes them and it gets that buy-in. So
Yeah.
they don't buy what if I just went in there and was like, oh, we're gonna blah, 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 people wouldn't stay.
Yeah.
But because I'm constantly growing and progressing and doing all these things to increase value so that my clients have a better experience, and like I was just saying, is like maybe them getting out of pain or having this kind of time with me or experience with me causes them to find their own purpose, and find what sets them on fire and encourages them to grow in their own lives. And I think that's when you create long-lasting change, and people will buy in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's awesome. What James, is the best way to kind of like get in contact with you if someone lives out in the Los Angeles area, and they want to work with you?
Mm-hmm.
And then also maybe if someone, I don't know if you do like online stuff, or even if someone just wants to reach out to you, what's the best way?
So right now, I do all my stuff's kind of word of mouth. I will get into social media, but I'm not like crazy. I would kind of need somebody to start teaching me how to use that stuff.
Yeah.
But just an email. I have an email. It's jbtrainsco@gmail.com. jbtrainsco@gmail.com.
Cool. And we'll link that in the show notes for anyone listening. And James, I had a great time chatting, and I know we could keep going on for hours and hours, kind of like at the gym. That's one of the reasons why I love talking to you, because you are so passionate about it. Like especially out here in LA, a lot of people have like different motives, or it's always like a reason, but like you literally could just stand there and talk about it, and like it's like it stands out,
Yeah.
So your passion.
It's having this kind of you believe in your product.
Yeah.
You're excited and passionate to share it with other people.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, everyone listening, we appreciate it, and as always, catch us next week. And feel free to email me at gary@coastalfitnessva.com. If you have any questions or comments or anything you want us to do on the show, I do not listen to my emails, but I do read them all. So shoot them over, and we'll catch you guys then.